بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد إخوة الإسلام يا عباد الله. First and foremost, I greet the brothers and sisters with the greetings of Ahl al-Jannah, that being Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And I start this brief statement or this brief speech off with the statement of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala when He says, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ عَلِيمًا حَكِيمًا. He states that none of you all wills except that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala wills. None of you all wills, you need to accomplish something unless Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala wills for you to accomplish it. And then Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, He states thereafter, undoubtedly, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is ever all-knowing and all-wise. He mentions two names of Himself, Al-Alim and Al-Hakim, which we normally translate Al-Alim, all-knowing or all-knower, and Al-Hakim, all-wise. Now, this particular verse, Ya Ibadallah, it is a verse that we as Muslims find by way of it comfort and contentment for that which occurs within our lives that would normally cause people without guidance to find something of frustration. And in order for me to clarify what I'm saying, for it to be understood to the people that are listening, then I want to just mention something that just recently happened with me, yani myself, yesterday. Now, I had planned on being in Detroit, Michigan, right now. That was my plan, to be in Detroit, Michigan right now. Unfortunately, me going to Detroit didn't quite work out. Yesterday, I went to the airport, and due to weather, of course, when the trip was planned, the weather, what would occur of bad weather was unknown to myself, as I myself and those involved in organizing, we don't have knowledge of the unseen. So I went to the airport on time to catch my flight. The flight's delayed, it's pushed back 2 or 3 times until it's finally canceled, rebooked, left the airport, come back on time for the rebooking, for the new flight. It's pushed back 2 or 3 times before it's canceled. Then I finally get a flight out from my city to Philadelphia, which was supposed to be a connecting flight, and then from Philadelphia to DC, and then DC to Detroit. So once I make it to Philadelphia, I find my connecting flight from DC to Detroit has been delayed and then eventually canceled. And so at this point, and there was no other way for me to get to Detroit that evening. There were no other flights that were available for me flying to Detroit yesterday evening. So consequently, I told the people at the airline to just send me back to my original location, Salisbury, Maryland. Just send me back there, because it was clear, it was clear that I would be unable to make the trip, unfortunately. Now, the point that I'm making from putting forth this example is that I put forth effort after effort after effort after effort to try to make it to Detroit. And the workers at the airport, the workers or the employees of the airline, they put forth maximum efforts to try to get me to Detroit as well. looking up other flights to making sure to see what was open and what I could fly, what I couldn't fly. And although I had willed to go to Detroit, I was not successful in what I was trying to do because Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala didn't will for me to be successful in that regard. And this is why we say, قَدَرَ اللَّهَ وَمَا شَاءَ فَعَلْ. This is why we say, make that statement. And so when we look at this particular verse, وَمَا تَشَاءُونَ إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ, that none of you all wills unless Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala wills. I willed to go to Detroit and put forth maximum efforts to try to get there, but Allah did not will for me to be successful in what I was trying to do. And this is what this verse is reminding us of, or this is what this verse is teaching us, that that everything is within the will of Allah. If Allah wills for a person to be successful in that which he's trying to do, then he'll be successful. But if Allah doesn't will for him to be successful in whatever it is that he's trying to do, then he will not be successful. And then Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala mentions after that, Inna Allah kana aliman hakima. And he mentions two names. And every name, as we know when we study Aqidah, that every name points to a complete and perfect attribute that's free from flaw and defect. And so he says, the first name that he mentions after the majestic expression is Al-Alim. And this particular name points to knowledge, that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is the possessor of knowledge. But this knowledge that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has with him, it is a complete and perfect knowledge. So Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is aware of the outward aspects of a thing, just like he's all-knowing as it relates to the inner aspects of a thing. He is all-knowing as it relates to that which is in private, and all-knowing as it relates to that which is in public. Yani he is well aware of the past, the present, and the future. He is well aware and all-knowing as it relates to the uppermost aspects of the creation and the lowermost aspects of the creation. There's nothing that is hidden from Allah as it relates to his knowledge. His knowledge encompasses everything. So Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala knows what is beneficial for his servants and what is detrimental for his servants. This is why when looking at this verse and his name is being mentioned, we see the wisdom, and if we understand this, of why that name was mentioned. And then thereafter, Al-Hakim was mentioned. Al-Hakim likewise points to a complete and perfect attribute. As the ulama state, it points to Allah's perfection as it relates to judgment and or rulings, and it points to the perfection of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala's wisdom. This is what Al-Hakim indicates or points to or means. Yani thubut kamal al-hukm lillah wa thubut kamal al-hikmah lillah. Yani Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala has being perfect as it relates to judgments and perfect as it relates to wisdom. So Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is the all-wise, and however he judges, then we know that there is no flaw and or defect from any perspective as it relates to his judgment. And there is no one that is more wise, as his wisdom is a wisdom that is perfect, free from flaw and defect. So we know that if Allah wills something to be or doesn't allow something to be, then we understand that he has full knowledge of that thing. Full knowledge, not partial knowledge, but full knowledge of a thing. Yani the circumstance of a circumstance, a situation, and thus forth and so on. And whatever ruling or judgment that he makes, Yani there's wisdom behind it, and it is a wisdom that is free from flaw and defect. It's a perfect judgment, yani, and along with this wisdom that is free from flaw and defect. So when we try to accomplish something and we don't find success in that regard, then this particular verse should be a source of contentment for us. That we understand that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is the one that if He wills for us to be successful, regardless of how much effort we put forth in that regard, then we will be successful if this is what He wants for us. And if He doesn't will for us to be successful in that regard, then we should understand that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala is well aware and has full knowledge of that, of whatever it is we're trying to accomplish, the circumstance, the situation, if it's detrimental or if or beneficial, and thus for so on, and whatever He allows to happen or not to happen is based off of perfect wisdom that is free from flaw and defect. Perfect judgment that is free from flaw and defect. So without a doubt, this should be a source of contentment for us if we understand it. Just this one verse, it should be a source of contentment for us. And whatever it is that we try to accomplish throughout this life, and we find that we're not being successful in it, that we shouldn't it shouldn't be a source of frustration for us. Our quote unquote failure, it shouldn't be a source of frustration and thus for so on. But we should look to verses like that which was quoted and those that are similar to it in order to find contentment. Because if it is beneficial for us, then Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala will for it to be. And it might be that the fact that we weren't able to accomplish it, or let me reword what I'm about to say. It should be understood in the minds and the hearts of the believer that if Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala did not will for us to be successful in a particular goal that we're trying to accomplish, then our lack of accomplishment of that goal, then that is what is more beneficial for us, based off and this is based off understanding that the one who did not will for us to be successful is all-knowing as it relates to the benefits and the harms, and is all perfect as it relates to wisdom and judgment. And this should be a source of contentment for us, and not frustration, not agony, not sorrow, not grief, and whatever other emotions that we may have that can be considered negative on account of us on the outward, on the apparent, in the eyes of the people. These emotions come because we perceive that we failed in a matter. On the contrary, we should understand it based off this particular verse, that if we were not successful in that regard, then us not accomplishing that goal, that is what is beneficial for us. That is what is beneficial for us. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala knows best, because we could put forth effort after effort after effort after effort after effort, and if Allah wills, it won't come to fruition. It won't come to fruition. So this is what I wanted to present to the brothers and sisters this evening. I didn't want to take up any of the believers' time. This was just something that was on my mind, especially in light of what took place yesterday, because in reality I planned on being in Detroit right now, but Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala didn't decree for that to happen. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, as the verse says, is Al-Alim Al-Hakim. And with that, Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. And this is just a reminder for myself and to the brothers and sisters that are uh, viewing this particular live stream, and those who will view it thereafter. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala knows best. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.